The day before the closing, he like backed out. I raised all that money, and then the day before closing, he was like, I changed my mind. They worked only them. And that's not true. We hired one boots on the ground person, let me tell you. Okay, so 2020. So 2020, and this in 2019 is when I started Storage Nerds. Right. I started kind of helping people get into it and stuff. Cause I'm the type of person anyways, like if I know something works well, like I want to share it with the world. So I was like, let me get out there and start like showing some other people how to do this. Cause there is something about this thing. Right. And so in 2020 is when we had three, let's remember COVID hit, right? And so we had three facilities under contract. There's one owner and he had three facilities, and the day before the closing, he like backed out. I was so upset. It was like we got it under contract, maybe like March. We're supposed to close in August. It was March or April, supposed to close in August. I had to raise that money, and there was a lot of money to be raising for me. Or I was like, I don't know, like 800 grand or something, cash, because they were like mismanaged facilities. And so I raised all that money. And then the day before closing, he was like, I changed my mind. And I was just so upset. I was like, so we bought none. And I couldn't get another one under contract because it was COVID and like everybody's freaking out about everything and stuff. So I just couldn't find one. Everybody was like not selling and stuff at this time. So we did not buy no facilities. But during this time, this is when my coach, I actually had a coach that was a money coach, how to raise money. I always have coaches, right? So during this time, I remember there was not really anything about learning how to invest in self-storage. So I couldn't really have a coach for that, but I did have a money coach. And he is the one that showed me how to raise money. He was, he always gave me tips and stuff. And so during this time, he told me in this year, he's actually in 2020 is when he told me. He was like, Stacy, he's like, I really think that you should consider doing a fund. He was like, you're kind of, with all your rehabbing experience and then all the storage facilities, like you're kind of at that point where you should be syndicating or like you should have a fund. And I was like, and I never even thought about that, honestly, until he told me. It's like, you know what? Like, you're right. Like, I've raised like millions and millions of dollars. Like, I should be able to go out and get a fund. Of course, I had no idea about anything with funds. So this is when I started learning about funds. So then I did not get the facilities. But in the end, I started researching and I hired a consultant and a company to help me get a fund, right? So I started like, wait a second. So fund education. So 2017, 18, 19, all private lenders, 16 to 19, private money up till then. And even in 2020 is private money. If I would have bought something, that would have been private money. So basically from 2019 to 2021, like Bonnie and Pete are managing the facilities. I'm the one that finds the facilities. I'm the one that funds the facilities, and Bonnie and Pete are managing these facilities. Pete is the boots on the ground person, and Bonnie is like the office person. And that's how it was. So a total of, let's see, how many doors? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 600 doors. Yeah, that's about where it was. We were at like 600 doors. Bonnie and Pete, that's it. Nobody else. Okay. And then in 2021, we bought 4 facilities. Privately funded, because I did not have my fund. All right. So these are private money. And so we bought 7, 8. So 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11. Okay, so we had 11 facilities. And, all these facilities are going to be like less than $1 million. Like they're going to be anywhere from like $800,000 down or something like that. Okay. And so this is all private money. And so the fund was not started yet. We were in the process of getting it ready. It takes a long time to put a fund together. I'm gonna tell you, it takes months and months and months to like be able to syndicate a deal out. It takes months to be able to syndicate that deal out. And then like if you want to do a fund and raise like millions and millions and millions of dollars, you have to put the whole thing together. You put the PPM, you got to put the subscription, you got to put the financial model, you have to understand everything. So I was really educating myself and working through putting this fund together is what I was doing. And actually the fund was really ready to be launched, right? Like I would say like right before the last quarter, but we decided to push it out until like the beginning of 2022, because you don't really want to be asking for, I have no qualms with asking for money like any time of the year, but my lawyer and my consultant basically advised me and said, you should really ask after Christmas, you should ask for money. And I was like, okay, fine, we'll just start it in the first quarter of the next year. So, okay, so 2021, this is where we buy our next facilities. Let's say on average, they were kind of bigger facilities, so probably about 100 doors each. Yeah, and so then let's say we added another 400 doors, right? So we are at like 1,000 doors right now. Okay, we're at 1,000 doors. This, and then it's all over Georgia. We had not like gotten out, right? We had not spread out our wings or anything like that outside of Georgia. And so and so Pete was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do all this, Stacy. And I was like, then hire somebody, So we hired like a boots on the ground person that basically helped Pete and, drove all the way all around Georgia and helped us to like be the boots on the ground person. We had one boots on the ground person. And then Pete also. So they were the two together that were really kind of managing the overlocks and this kind of stuff, and overlocks and auctions and stuff like this. And right about this time is when we started getting onto online auctions, so that guy made everything a little bit easier. But yeah, so we had like a total now of around 1,000, let's say 1,000 doors. This is when we hired a full-time boots on the ground person. Okay, this is when we hired a full-time boots on the ground. So we had a boots on the ground full time, plus Pete, plus Bonnie, and then me, right? So I'm find and funds. And then they are like really office. And then these two were the boots on the ground people full time. So really it was like, the four of us. We were lean, mean, self-storage investing machines. So we were, right? And you have to remember too that like for us personally, we buy severely mismanaged facilities. So we don't buy income producing properties. Like we've never bought an income producing property that's actually making what it should be making. We're always buying properties that, you have to get bad tenants out and good tenants in. You have to clean the properties up. So it's not like renovations like rehabbing, but it's like renovations is in like, you got to clean, power wash, maybe paint, fix some ballards, fix the doors, fix the springs, so stuff like that. So it's not a lot of stuff, but it's like, trying to get it cleaned up. But then the main part of what we do is we're getting all the bad tenants out. So economic occupancy, essentially in the storage world, you have physical occupancy and economic occupancy. So physical occupancy is when like the owner says, yeah, I'm full. And then you say, okay, well, how many people are paying? That's economic occupancy. So every facility I've ever bought, they say, we're full. And then I say, okay, what is everybody paying? And it's like, nobody's paying, that's kind of how it is. So then that means like as asset managers, our job is to get all of the bad tenants out and get good tenants in that have our contract signed, that are paying on time, that, understand our rules and follow them, this kind of stuff, right? And this is the hardest part of owning a storage facility, especially if you buy mismanaged facilities, is really just kind of, getting that economic occupancy up so that the tenants that you that you have are good paying tenants. So for instance, like the facility that we're wholesaling right now in New York, this guy, if you look at his reports from ESS, he uses ESS to manage his facilities. So he sent us management summaries and rent rolls and stuff like that. Everybody's paying. He's at 90% occupancy and like 89% economic occupancy. I mean, essentially, when you're owning a storage facility, that is your goal. The typical facilities that we buy are like maybe 50 to 100% occupied, and the economic occupancy is well below 50%. All right. So we are really kind of like trying to get all these tenants out, and they're all complaining and yelling at us and putting bad reviews onto Google. That's kind of where we get all the bad reviews at. Cause it's like, you raised my rates and, blah, 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 all this kind of, this kind of stuff. Okay. All right, good. So that's 2021. And so then in 2022 is when we launched the fund. Okay. 2022. And then started raising a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money to raise, then essentially, you can buy bigger deals. You can buy, a lot more deals, right? So last year we bought, in 2022, we didn't buy a lot of deals. We bought bigger deals, 2 really good size, big deals. All right. So it was like 12 and 13. We only bought 2 actually. So started raising money. We bought 2, raised enough money to buy those 2. And in 2023, we bought, 14, 15, 16, right? 14, 15, 16. So we bought 3. All right, 14, 15, 16 is what we've raised. And these are all in the fund. And really, my goal is just like focusing on the fund right now. Everybody's coming to me and said, let's partner, let's do deals and stuff like this. It's actually the fund and my students. Those are my goals right now, is really to help my students be successful, and then the fund. Okay. Hey everybody, this is Stacy here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am here to teach you how to get your foot into this industry. You're watching this video because you want to learn how to get started in self-storage investing, or maybe you own facilities and you want to be a better manager, a better owner. That is what I do, is I teach people how to do that. So please like this video and also subscribe, hit the subscribe button, because that's what YouTube wants. So in order for me to get out the word on how to get started in this industry, I really need your help. Again, I appreciate you listening to me, and I'm here to help you on this journey, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.